Over the last few weeks, we've been making connections in Revelation with the books of Zechariah and Isaiah, and with the heavenly throne rooms they depict. Last time, the connection was to God's divine name, I am, given in the book of Exodus. Now, on top of these profound layers of meaning and connection, there's still yet another, not biblical, but as I've mentioned previously, political. One scholar remarking on the heavenly throne room in Revelation suggests that it can be seen as a parody of the ceremonies of the imperial court. Whether it be the throne surrounded by courtiers, the hymns sung, or the colors and titles employed, these are popular images associated with the Roman imperial court. So what's that about? The apocalypse given to John was intended to encourage and bring comfort to the seven churches, if not the whole church. But it's also a challenge to those believers who may be attempted to assimilate into the powerfully seductive ways of the Roman Empire. You might be wondering, well, what's wrong with a little patriotism towards Rome? And doesn't Paul command us in Romans 13 to let everyone be subject to the governing authorities? For there's no authority except that which God has established. Or how about Peter's words? In 1 Peter 2:17, he says, show proper respect to everyone. Love the family of believers. Fear God and honor the emperor. Be subject to and honor, but not place our faith in or entrust our well-being to. In short, we are not to worship. You see, in John's day, offering one's allegiance to Rome could yield great benefits, status and prestige. But here's the kicker. Allegiance to the imperial cult meant affirming that God's Son really did rule on the throne, that he was Lord of all. The problem was the Son of God in such an affirmation was not Jesus of Nazareth, but Caesar. Therefore, offering allegiance to Rome was an act of worship. Eugene Peterson remarked John's peek into heaven, which appears to be this beehive of activity, is a vision of worship that then becomes a call to worship. Revelation chapter 4 is an invitation and education on true worship. As Peterson goes on to suggest, the alternative to worship focused on the true center, the true authority for life symbolized here in the throne, is worship focused on false centers, idols. And of course, as we go on to discover further in Revelation, Babylon is nothing more than the place of anti-worship. So worship is at the center of John's apocalypse. Will we faithfully worship God even in light of trials and suffering, or will we be like those in Revelation 13:8? All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. Now, as we come across the hymns we find peppered throughout Revelation, it's easy to kind of skip over them. But as I said, they're educational, they are formational. As I've already mentioned, how those closest with the clearest view to the throne worship God always and forever without end. In verse 10, we're taking kind of one step further out, as the four living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to the one seated on the throne. The 24 elders, they fall down before him who sits on the throne, and they worship him who lives forever and ever. They lay their crowns before the throne and say, you are worthy, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and by your will they were created and have their being. It may be worth our while to unpack those words, glory and honor and power. But I think the simple and more instructive point is this: as the four living creatures ascribe God glory and honor, those seated on their throne, they take their cue, they fall down, they take off their crowns, and they declare God's glory and honor and power. The invitation is that as the circle expands to include us, that you and I would echo their worship, that we would worship not with thrones and crowns, but with all that we are, doing nothing less than ascribing him glory and honor and power. My question is simply, is your life directed towards that end? Worshiping the one enthroned, or is it pointed towards the worship of another? Have a blessed week, church.